Call this meeting to order.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Fry,
Yes.
Keating,
Present.
Snellings,
Present.
Eichmann,
Present.
Gracke,
Present.
Price,
Present.
Behrens,
Here.
Thrum. 7-0.
Yep. Okay, first up we have the approval of minutes from the meeting on March 27th.
Move to approve the meetings from the meeting on the 27th. Okay.
Okay. Any changes? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0. Next up we have public comment. Is anybody here for 5-minute public comment? Yes.
Name's Steve Prell, 1042 Pony Express Highway, Ward 1. Just looked at the agenda and I noticed that the city lake and our properties are on the agenda as far as there's an ordinance been drawn up. It'd be silly if I didn't come up here and just ask that you don't vote for condemnation and you don't vote for eminent domain. So I'm asking that you don't vote that way. We prefer to keep our properties and have control over who's in our backyards. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else here? Yes.
Good evening, guys. Chris Rader, Ward 1, 1040 Pony Express Highway. Just want to reiterate what Steve said. We ask that you vote no to the resolution that's been drawn up as far as the lake goes. Just also want to say thank you for the council members who did their due diligence, did their research, and did their job. And I really appreciate those of you out there who are doing that. If you ever need anything from me, you just ask. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, next business and discussion items. First up, we have the use of the Hedstrom Hall for the MES theme day on May 5th.
Are they here? Coming? Are they coming? They're asking, Marysville Elementary School is asking for the use of Hedstrom Hall for theme day. This would include, they're doing things outside of Hedstrom Hall, and we're preparing the ground for that, activities in the arena and stuff like that. But this request is basically to use it without paying rent, which is set up by, we have a policy for that, which is fine. But currently Hedstrom Hall is being used to store city equipment and trailers. And while we're happy to remove all the inventory in preparation for the event, staff just wanted to clarify that it will take an estimated 32 man-hours, 8 staff, 4 hours each, utilizing parks and street departments to remove all the equipment from Hedstrom Hall. And additional time to locate a place for the equipment to be stored in the meantime, and then you reverse the process. Again, this is just for informational purposes, to know what kind of time it'll take to relocate the equipment and then put it back.
Have we ever let them do this in the past?
I think so.
Not since I've been here. It's been beef days. Pumpkin patch has stopped, but yeah, this is the first that I've seen.
Move to approve request.
Second. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
6-1. Okay, next up we have Maureen Chris with the dog park.
Hello. I am asking to place some additional agility equipment at the dog park.
As you can see in your information, that it's maintenance-free, it's movable, it's high-quality stuff, and this is what people have been asking for.
And you also want trees?
We have trees.
Okay.
We have, last fall, I think the city planted 1 tree, and we planted 3 additional trees.
He's talking about the one
Circle
up
Drive.
front.
Oh, sorry, okay.
No,
Yeah, and I understand there's probably an issue there with the overhead power line. And that's cool. I mean, we could put a short tree or a large shrub or something. It just, those trees were so pretty there. That's why we did the Circle Drive. And so I was kind of surprised to see them taken out. So we can do whatever you want. I'd just like to put something in there.
why were they taken out?
They were damaged. They needed to go.
Okay. Well, I definitely agree that it'd look nice to get something back in their place.
I do have some, just from staff perspective, I asked Dom to talk about, or give me some insight on his side. As everybody knows, the more stuff you put in the dog park, the more we have to mow around it. Even putting mulch, as has been suggested, is not a stop-all. We would have to then spray the mulch, and the mulch has to be replaced probably every 1 or 2 years. So that should be taken into consideration, just the more space that's taken up, the more time it'll take to maintain it. As for the trees out front, can't have anything to grow over 10 foot
is
off the
Evergy's
ground,
regulation.
according to Evergy. If we were to do something, he had some suggestions, a bush type, and even bushes are problematic because they catch all sorts of trash. Basically, Dom's perspective is anything implemented just creates more work.
And it's pretty.
Yeah, as far as Evergy, is this Evergy's?
On there, it's online.
They would prefer we don't? I mean, they can't tell you what you can and can't plant. They can trim it back if it gets into their space.
It says they can. I
They
don't
can
know.
prevent you from doing anything on your, I don't think that's the way that works at all. I mean,
I don't know.
they can
That's
trim
just
your
a
tree
regulation.
Come up and,
yeah, they can murder your trees if they get within X close,
Right.
but I don't think I wanna set the precedent of the power utility telling us what we can and can't do with our property.
I will say that, we have done a lot of work down there. We've been watering the trees in the park, and we've picked up, like last week, somebody contacted me that the trash cans were overflowing. And so I went down there and did that, and, blew off the concrete pads, and, we're down there picking up trash in the parking lot. We're doing our darndest to keep it looking nice, and I think it does.
I agree, and, I mean, trees wouldn't catch trash, I guess, and also looking at this on Google Earth, it would appear that the trees could be well out south clear of the power lines and still inside the Circle Drive.
It's something with an easement. I just know what it is on their website.
That's fine. They have the information. They can talk.
If you got it in your.
We could easily do something like 2 forsythia bushes, or just, red buds, or, something.
And that was part of the charm of the area, and
Yeah.
since there's been enough tree damage because of the storm that took out along the creek, I think it looks way worse without the trees there, but that's my opinion. And besides, you can get a pretty good looking 8-foot, 9-foot tree.
Well, I think they were probably red buds and well over 10 feet.
Yeah.
The ones that were there.
Yeah, they look like they're about 15 feet probably.
So I guess what I'd like to know is if we can plant whatever you say, give me a height or a specific tree or shrub if you need to, or just tell me a limit, and to place this other agility equipment. And I would ask that we not put mulch immediately, because I'd like to see about placement, what works for you mowing. I don't think with a zero turn, it doesn't take long to go around a piece of this equipment. And I'd also like to know if we could have the water fountain. That's fabulous, and I thank you for that, if we could have that turned on.
So have you had any conversations with Dom, who's Parks and Cemetery?
No.
Why?
Is that my position?
It's somebody's position on your committee to verify with him the placement of stuff.
I think that all roads go through the city administrator and the city hall. We don't want people out contacting.
But have they told Austin what they wanted before
So
this?
Well, yeah, here it
here's the method. Maureen did contact me, and I asked her to put together a report for the council. I did also ask for placement, to where they thought the placement was gonna be, so you guys knew where it was gonna go. And that way we can figure out, if that's a great place or not. Especially, we don't want things too close, too far away, too close to the fence, too close to where we have to get off our mowers. And have to, or a downgrade to a smaller mower to mow the park. So that, we do need the placement of those.
Do you know where the placement is of everything else that's in there?
After they've been put in, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I move to approve the request, on the condition that Dom is involved with a little bit of the discussion and the placements as far as the equipment and the, trees or shrubs, whatever that gets put in the circle drive. But I think there's no reason why we can't have that communication take place and make this happen.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
So tell me what the process is now. Who am I supposed to talk to? And
Talk to me, we'll set up a meeting to
Meet with
go
Dom.
out and look at and find
Okay.
places. Yeah, I mean, it'd be great if you have an idea of where you want these.
wide open space. I mean, we can put it 20 feet. I mean, the place is huge. We can put it 20 feet from anything. It's not going to be next to anything at all.
And
But I will,
More than
talking
the
with
width of a
Dom, I
mower.
think his main concern was, I think it was a 72-inch deck that they had.
Yes.
If they had enough room, they get the 72-inch, so they don't have to bring a small mower and a big mower and
no
Should be
problem.
plenty of
We've
room.
got
get
lots
around
of
it and then
space.
weed eat up closer
Lots
to
of
it,
space.
so.
So I'm going to contact you. Okay, and about the water fountain, can that get turned on?
Right, we were just turning on all the parks,
Okay.
water, so that's, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, don't have any notices and hearings. First up, well, we got the consent agenda with a lot of things on it.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay. Any questions about any of the items on there? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0. Okay, next up, we have appropriations ordinance number 3795.
Move to approve appropriations ordinance 3795.
Okay,
Second.
okay, any discussion about it? Roll call?
For how much? Go ahead with roll call.
Okay, I can look up how much it is if you want.
169, 116,
38.
38.
Okay, all right,
I'm just used to Kevin Hart saying. the
exactly,
amount.
because of crowd.
I just-
Right. Todd,
Yes.
Keating,
Yes.
Snellings,
Yes.
Spikeman,
Yes.
Brackey,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Barons,
Yes.
7-0.
Okay, next we have Austin with staff reports.
All right, first on my list, included is, in the packet is, quotes for spraying for mosquitoes on city properties. This list is, carryover from the previous couple years that we've been doing this. Total, I'll go through them. City Park, Lions Park, Marysville Country Club Lake, Kester House Museum, and Dargott's Park. You can see, I mean, they all include tax, but we'll get the tax taken off of it. So without the tax, the total comes to $6,623.
Do you know what it was last year? I didn't go look it up.
I think it's about a $1,000 increase.
I was gonna say, and it was marginally more, but I couldn't remember exactly what it was.
That's just an estimate, yeah.
Have we got good feedback from doing that in the past?
We have in the
Yes.
past, we've done it for, I don't know, probably, what, 4 years or 4 years now at
The
least?
first year, it was
City
such,
Park is
it was
We
so
really had good
obvious that,
feedback when they did the outdoor movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That first year,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, first year we started doing it was that really wet year, and the mosquitoes were terrible everywhere.
Mhm.
It makes a difference.
It does.
I move to approve the mosquito squad, proposal for the city properties in town here.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0.
Second thing on my list, included is the bid tab for the overlay project for the airport runway. We had two bidders, Marysville of Ohio and American Pavement Solutions. The low bid came from Marysville of Ohio with a bid of $567,198.17. 90% of the project will be paid for with FAA funds. Contractor has stated they plan to start this project mid-June. Council needs to approve the bid. But basically what this project is an overlay of the runway. What they're going to do first is they're going to take the cracks that exist, the wide cracks, and clean them up, use concrete to fill those in, let those cure, and then do an overlay over the whole thing, and then repaint over that. And that should be a really nice surface for a good number of years. So that's what this project is.
Move to approve the bid from Marysville of Ohio for $567,198.17.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
All right. The last thing, general fund has a month-ending balance higher than the same time in 2022. So we had a little bit higher revenues come in, even though I think we had, let me go back. Even though we had about $10,000 in expenses for the month of March compared to last year, but we had about $28,000 more in receipts. So that helped us out. The water fund saw a slight decrease in funds from month to month, and the sewer fund had a $30,000 increase in funds. Sales tax fund is still increasing on a monthly basis, pending the projects we have planned this year. And we're still hoping to have quite a few projects happen this year. Does anybody have any questions on the financials? Seeing none, any other questions regarding my report?
Okay. Next up, we have Matt with the National Night Out Initiative. Hello.
Hello. Thank you all for your time and putting me on the schedule. So we're here to ask for permission to use Marysville City Park and the city pool for a National Night Out event. To provide a little context for anybody who's not familiar with National Night Out events, is it's an annual community building campaign that promotes police and community partnerships. However, we feel our event should be much bigger than just a police and community partnership. What we're wanting to do is have an event that brings the entire community together to spend more time and build camaraderie, not just between the police and the community, but everybody. So we put together a multidisciplinary work group and started working through some logistics. So it is a national event. The date is predetermined. It is Tuesday, August 1st is what we're asking for. And what we're asking is to utilize the city park and the pool for our event. Planning some really fun stuff. Music will be part of it, obviously, no matter what. Music makes everything better. And so music, some dunk tanks, many activities for everybody, children's through adults. And we're working on funding. As you guys know, part of what we did in our rural reduction of violent crime grant was ask for some community event funding, and this event was funded for us. So the location's the city park and pool on August 1st, and so what we're asking for is to barricade and utilize city park for the event and offer free swim night for the participants between 6 and 8. Be more than happy to answer any questions you guys might have about the event.
Sounds like a fun time.
It does, yes. We're excited about it.
Especially the helicopter, if that comes together.
Man, if we can make that work, that'd be great, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Move to approve the request for National Night Out.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 7-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, standing committees. First up, we have street. Anybody have anything on street?
Some people want to know where we are officially at with Hometown Lumber and Keystone Drive and all that area down there where
We're
we're at with
having
that process.
the engineering done.
I mean, it's not really my personal, but people that are listening want to know where we're at with it.
So, the council approved, engineering, to commence for 12th Road, all the way to Keystone Edition, and, Keystone from 12th Road, we didn't do the whole U. We did, Keystone from,
11th Terrace to 12th Road.
11th Terrace to 12th Road. No, 11th Road, so we did the whole U, or we asked for prices?
No, yeah, it was a whole U, wasn't it? Yeah.
We talked about it, but I think
Well,
the only
I
thing.
think
that
we added
voted
that,
on
I
was
think.
What was on.
It's the whole
the
U.
original.
I thought you added it. I'd have to
Okay,
look at the minutes.
so the council approved moving forward with engineering. The timeline on the engineering was to have a project bid worthy, by fall. So the engineer has all, basically, majority of the year to work on, drawing up plans. That's where we're at.
Okay, I got questioned why, you could explain this, but why you just can't mill down the first 6 to 8 inches and just put overlay on it?
It's,
There is no.
People want
I don't think
to
there's
know
6
that.
to 8 inches there.
there's not 6 to 8
There's not
inches of
6 to 8.
asphalt.
Yeah, there's,
Well, that's what they don't understand.
Right. This problem would have been solved a long time ago if we had a base like that.
Can we confirm what we did actually
Yes.
send to be engineered, whether it was the entirety of Keystone? Also, I thought
Go
11th
back.
Terrace South to Timber Creek
I
was.
think we added that
Added?
to,
I
I
wanna
think
make
we
sure.
added south
not
on
too late
11th
to make
Terrace,
sure.
and we added from 11th Terrace to
Check the
12th.
minutes.
Good.
I know it was mentioned.
Yeah.
I think we added,
you
I
and
think we
going
added those
south,
two.
But I think we need to clarify that.
So I have seen some people suggest just taking all the blacktop off and put it all to gravel. Would that make it safer?
Yes. If you did it right.
We-
For the meantime, it'd be a surface that we could maintain. At this point, the surface that's on there, we can't adequately maintain. Because if you take a grader to it, it'll chunk off the surface. Or if we take it's not the best surface right now, but gravel, we have a better ability to maintain that. I can say that.
I drove it last week, and I mean, in my opinion, other than the dust, this section that's gravel is a lot better than the section that's asphalt, to be honest.
Is that something anybody wants to pursue?
What would be the cost associated with bow magging that or pulling that asphalt off?
The only thing I don't.
And would that
and this
screw
is-
up the engineering? There's the other question.
No, that's true too, but, I don't know if it'd mess with that.
Hey,
I
so
think part of the concern was that every time they've had a pothole out there, they dig it out and they shove it full of cold mix or what have you. And I don't know I don't know if it's as simple as just taking the asphalt off, or if you take that off, you're gonna have a bunch of
Holes of chunks. Yeah.
everything, at this point. And that would be probably something to ask the street department.
Okay, so
It's been brought up before.
I think I sent a request to see how much it would cost. I don't think I've ever gotten a number back.
To remove the asphalt?
No, for the rest of it. So right now, as it's set
Oh.
up, I think the engineering, at least, I haven't found the email where I've gotten it back. I see where I've responded. Let me see.
I think you're correct. I know it was mentioned in discussion.
We
but
mentioned it, we
was never-
wanted to look at the cost,
Yeah.
of doing the rest of
We
that.
added it.
So I think right now, it's just, all of 12th Road down to Keystone Edition, and then, Keystone, from 11th Road to 11 Terrace. I think that's the engineering as of right now. The council, I don't think has approved anything else as of yet. I'll follow up right now on this.
And I also want to say, people know that road is bad. You don't have to drive fast on it. And definitely don't drive on the wrong side of the road because you're admitting to it, and that's on you. That's your fault. You know.
It is 30 miles an hour out there. Not that, people could be going that speed, I don't know. But
Anything else on the street?
I guess this goes under street. It was brought to my attention, there's been quite a few trucks overnight parking down in the industrial park. And I know we kind of unofficially direct people to the 7th Street corridor. Well, I haven't gone down there. I'm gonna take the people's word for it when they call me and tell me there's trucks making it difficult for turning radiuses for other trucks. But, regardless, I know we need to start thinking a little long-term on truck parking, because if we're going to have projects with the 7th Street corridor, we're only going to increase trucks parking in other places that we may not prefer them, and we need a place for that. There's a lot of people who make their living, with trucks, and we don't want trucks willy-nilly everywhere in town if we can avoid it. So I don't know what the solution to that necessarily is, but if we can start thinking strategically about a smart place for the residents of that area and for the whole community to park some of these trucks, I think that'd be good. I'm completely open to ideas. I've kind of racked my brain, and more than a spot or two here and there, there's not an obvious place.
I don't know if the city really has any space other than that for.
How many trucks are you thinking?
Well, I don't know, on some
There
mornings,
are quite
there's
a few
6
parked
or
out there, yeah.
8. I may be even over here in the 7th Street corridor, and you gotta figure there's a couple here and there otherwise, so
So you're thinking maybe
10 or 12 spots, I mean, that's a lot of trucks, plus you have to have room for them to get in and out. And
are you talking about in the meantime of it, say
Well,
the project out here is approved?
I think, I think if we start working on it now, if and when that gets approved, we will have a plan in place, rather than then having that be one more thing to be dealing with.
Okay.
a little proactive planning.
Well, I mean, the plans, whether you like it or not, had that RV/truck parking area.
My understanding was that was RV/truck as in people pulling campers through town rather than long haul,
It's-
over-the-road carrier type trucks,
It's
but,
whatever you want it to be.
well, yes
It's
and no.
big, it's big vehicles.
There's not a whole lot of, 45-foot campers gonna be pulling through. I suppose there'll be some.
Yeah.
But I think as far as idling trucks, places for people to have their reefers running and stuff, we gotta do a little better. And I just don't want it to be a problem. This is one of those moments where it's like, aha, we're gonna have this be a big problem down the line if we don't solve it now. So, I mean,
Well, let me ask you this, if it's not down there, why is it necessarily the city's responsibility to find places for truck drivers to park their trucks?
well, because because there's a lot of things that we do because it makes the community better, whether, that's not for any one person. I'm not talking about any truckers who are buddies of mine. I think nobody wants an idling semi in their neighborhood running, right, next to their house or down the block or whatever, and we don't want them driving on some of these streets if we can avoid it and cutting corners. It's just tough. It causes hazard to everyone. So I look at it like there's a group of people, that's an industry in our community the same as any other. If we can kind of grease the wheels to make their lives easier and more productive and help the neighborhood while we're at it, why wouldn't we do that? I don't know. That seems to me like no offense, kind of a no-brainer, like a win-win. But I mean, I'm not saying I have a solution again, but I'm saying I'm identifying the problem. I'm not
Saying I don't know
I'm
where
not
else we've
identifying the
got
solution.
land that we aren't using besides that corridor that I can think of.
I mean, we've got a lot of highway frontage in this town, but we've got other limitations. Looking at the map or the aerial photo on the wall, I mean, a lot of it's, floodplain or not particularly accessible. And some of it's hard surface. I don't know exactly where our property lines are, even down here between Elm and Walnut on the old 7th Street corridor. There's all that gravel there, and I know there's some trucks who pull in and out of there, and
Well, they have parked
that's
there before.
generally not been problematic, but
Because they have parked there before when we didn't have room. Or
Is
if
there-
they were parked up somewhere where people could hear them, they'd move down there.
down at the industrial park, are any of those lots still ours, or is all of that in private
I
hands?
don't think so.
It's all gone. Yeah.
So anyway, like I said, I don't know where there's another parcel that really makes sense, because where we have a lot of flat land up around Lakeview and stuff, we don't necessarily want, we don't have a good way to do that, and we don't really want to give that up either.
And typically, I don't think that they usually like to park those things away from everything, and they'd have to worry
No,
about getting
no.
messed with. Because we have, space but it's a long ways from everything else.
Right. So I don't know if that's something I don't know who that would even fall under, but if it's on our radar now, at least maybe, somebody from the community will have ideas, or somebody here will have lightning strike, and we can come up with a solution. But I don't want us to be behind the 8 ball on this one, so that's all I had there.
All right. Anything else, anything on the street?
So do we have any kind of time frame for Hall Brothers to
They
do?
said that within the next, they actually came down and talked to Gary about the one, project by the shop. Because we had to pour some concrete, to figure that out. But the last email I got from Hall Brothers, was within the next week or so, they were gonna be down, patching, the areas, in preparation for them to overlay.
And they are gonna dig out that big hole up there by the city cemetery.
I'll have to talk to them about how they're gonna address that, but they haven't mentioned that specifically.
If you mill it and pour a foot over it, we're gonna be back there again next year doing the same thing.
Anything else on street? Water, wastewater? Parks and Rec?
Where are we at with, with pool employees? How many we got? How many we need?
We don't have enough.
8 in today, I had 8 in today that they were.
8 lifeguards.
No, I had 8 in today.
But we
Two
have,
of them were not lifeguards.
but we have 8 lifeguards, don't we?
I think we'll have 10 lifeguards.
Okay.
But we had the first meeting for them to come and start, today.
What's the age restriction for the
15.
concessions?
15.
15, okay.
Yep.
That question came up, so.
It
But
was,
yeah, not
it was
need a lot.
it was 14
I know
last
we do.
year, but that was a one-time, approval by the council.
We
So
have,
we could do that again if we needed to.
If the council so pleases.
Do we have anybody for concessions?
Yeah, we have 2. Well, actually, we have 2.5, one that's an adult that'll come in the evenings and on the weekends.
so yeah, that's the short answer.
We're pushing it again.
There's not enough, and unless we have some more come and apply, we'll be having to figure out morning swim and if we're gonna be closed certain days of the week and things like that.
How many lifeguards are 18 or above?
None,
Oh, boy.
well, just the manager.
So that's actually also gonna affect either morning swim
It
and
is.
stuff like that.
It does affect morning
Absolutely.
swim.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they are going to train them to teach swim lessons this year. They're gonna do that towards the end of the April, so they're all on the same page when they do it. So we definitely are gonna do the swimming lesson thing, even if we can't do morning swim or whatever we have to limit, so.
So what's the ideal number that we would need?
At least 13, I think. It depends on their schedule. We have a couple kids that are going to Europe. So that
About
takes.
half of your lifeguards, I think, are
So
gonna be in
that,
Europe for a
that
week.
does not help. And then we have one that's going to almost 2 weeks of camp. All of those things is really a large struggle for us to try to keep open every day. It's very tough, so.
So, yeah.
Do you guys wanna go get your lifeguard certificate? We'd hire you.
I don't know if they'd let me out there.
Oh, sorry, you have to wear the suit that we provide.
No.
Right. Anything else on Parks and Rec? Cemetery and Airport? Police and Fire?
I suppose this is sort of under fire. What's the status of the old fire station over here?
No, I mean, it's an old building that needs work.
We just, insurance paid to have the bricks redone on the front side, and get that taken care of. Other than that, nothing's been, done to it, as we were asked to put a hold on doing anything.
Well, the reason I ask is when we're talking about Hedstrom Hall and storage issues and places to go with things, we've got a building with a bunch of bays. I mean, it's not the world's perfect building, but, I mean, it'd be nice for us to be using that building for some sort of storage, right?
Most of the equipment won't fit in it.
That's, well, can we, through this brick rehab, can we make one of the doors wider? Or is it a height issue?
It's a height
I
issue.
think.
Okay,
And I'd be careful what you park in it in case the floor collapses.
fine.
Nah, you just yank
Well-
them out and pour a bunch of slurry mix in them.
Yeah. Just, it'd be nice to, I mean, I assume it's a building that's insured and
Yeah.
the roof doesn't leak and it's there, it sits. So it'd be cool to use it for something.
I mean, we are using it. It's not up to its full potential, but, I mean, there is some
Front area
things
is
in
being
there.
used.
Yeah, we were parking our vehicles in there, and if need be, we used it when it was bad out, or actually not when it was bad out, we used it to paint and all that stuff.
Can part of it be segmented off for, I mean, secure storage for any kind of equipment and things? I mean,
Yeah.
can we, I mean, I know it's kind of just a big open space, but we
Yeah.
could break it up if we need to.
Yes, yeah. Yes, we
Okay.
can.
Okay, anything else on police and fire? Admin and finance?
Yeah.
So we did have a meeting
We had a
last
good
week.
meeting.
Hmm?
Really good
It
meeting.
was.
We had everybody there. We had Bruce Durking was there representing his group, and I don't have my,
MCDC?
I don't have my big list of notes. But, they have a couple things to work on, and we have a couple things to work on, and Todd was nice enough to bring up the old fire station. And, reason we brought that up is somebody has a heck of an idea to solve our file storage that Cindy has stored over at the old PD. I don't know if it'll work. Get a 20-foot container, slide it in the building and turn it sideways.
Container, don't say that word.
It's in a building, it's not out in the public. And it's rodent, and it's waterproof, and if the building falls on it, the
It'll
files will
survive.
still be safe. There is a chance of the building falling on it, I'll be honest. It's a thought. It's a real serious thought, because it'd be about the easiest
And
solution.
cheapest.
And it would fit.
But I'm not so
I'm
sure that
not
I
gonna
wouldn't
say
already
it
have
will
full.
Huh?
I might already have that full, that container.
20-foot.
You're probably gonna need a couple, I would say, with all the files you've got down
It
there.
is simple storage that's really consistent.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll fit in the door and you can turn it sideways, I don't know. But I do look at it as, if we did get the files out of there, that's a start to show that we're serious about what we're talking about. And I do look at it like that. Because, I mean, we have a long way to go yet, but we have no place to put them if we were to hire the director. And that would be a start of showing that we're serious.
And that way, if we hire a director and have them situated in that building, then they could cooperate with the chamber, Main Street person, and fill in the office for when they're not there. And that's part of the discussion we had at the meeting the other
Part of
night.
the problem is chamber can't go out and do what they need to do, because then they're not in the building when somebody wants to stop by, and vice versa, and if nothing else, you got somebody there, at least take down a phone number, or
Right.
you drop something off, get it to them. And I think those are important things. I think there's a lot of misconnections right there.
Plus, on the flip side of that, if they have a full-time director, tourism director in that building, then Chamber and Main Street would be more apt to go out and visit with the businesses downtown and converse with them as to what they need.
Yeah, it'd be mutually beneficial.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, because they got a few things they need to discuss at their meetings to figure out the directions they're exactly going also. They all overlap each other, and without my notes, I can't.
Yeah, they
You
do
have a
very
good
much.
note.
They
I
do a
know.
lot of overlap.
Oh, I know.
But
But it was a very good meeting.
It was a good
and-
meeting.
it was
yeah.
a great meeting. It was a great meeting. That's about all on that one for now.
No, I mean, we'll have some more meetings and
Yeah.
kind of go from there. Anything else on admin and finance? There are no appointments. Was John gonna make it, or?
I doubt it. We moved through this meeting really fast. He said he wanted to be here, but, he's in Frankfurt right now.
Okay. That's why we moved the ordinance to the back, was we wanted him here to answer any questions anybody had, so. Okay, yeah, next up we have ordinance 1919, the Marysville Country Club Lake.
So last time we tabled this because Todd wanted a full council. Can we table it again to have a full council?
I tabled the containers, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
If you tabled it, John will be here next time to answer any questions.
I will not be here next time. So, you know what I mean? It's just gonna be a revolving issue.
I just feel like just need to get it over with.
Make can make a motion to put it on the table. Otherwise, it just sits out there forever.
It's been a hot button issue for a while. I would say that, and this is just my opinion on it, I'll take it for what it's worth. People in Marysville have used that lake essentially as a city lake for 90 years. If you were some kid or somebody that doesn't have a lot of money, that lake out there is your Tuttle, it's your Milford, it's your Centralia, it's your little place you can go, spend a little time with your family, do some fishing, whatever, run around with the dog and have some fun.
On the city side. You can still do that.
It's our turn to have a discussion. Okay, all right. I think it would be a great loss to the city. Have that not be a public lake. I don't see how it can be something that's in the middle between not a public lake and not a private lake and somewhere in the middle. I think if you read that agreement with the state, I don't even know how we legally could have signed an agreement with the state, because I don't see if say there were 3 people that shared a large pond, I don't know as one property owner that you could necessarily approach the state and say, I'd like to make this a public fishing site, and then you put a little road down there, and then you collect the money from the state on it, and you have no agreement with the other landowners. I don't see how you could even, I don't see how you could do that myself. I think that's why originally the state made the city get those agreements with those other property owners out there in '88, was so that the city had an agreement with those property owners, guaranteeing, give the state some assurances, and then the state entered into an agreement with the city with those agreements on file. But we don't have agreements now. We've got agreements with some of them, but not all of them.
I think you need to call the vote. I mean,
Well, I guess I understand what you're saying, and I understand your concerns. But I also, it sure sounds like all indications from the state is that they don't have any issue with this. I mean, they haven't said, that, I mean, they've made all the noises that are,
They
this
don't
doesn't
have any
preclude
issue
them.
until they get complaints. And they're gonna get complaints. Complaints is why we're where we're at right now.
But there's a couple things where I can't get past.
Yeah.
And one of those is from Kansas Department of Wildlife Parks saying we don't need any other properties to sign this fishing agreement. Just the city has to sign. Is that right?
Originally, they wanted the city to get agreements with all those property owners because they only wanted to deal with one entity. They didn't want to deal with
Right.
4 or 5 different property owners.
And
I get that.
But they aren't saying that
They're
now.
specifically stating that we don't need other people's property for this cooperator fishing and access agreement. So that's already done. The whole entire water is public. Okay, according to all the plat maps that I saw, all the property lines are the same as it was way back when.
It was.
And in 1988, you could have all those agreements, any agreement that you want, but when there's a change of ownership, all those agreements go out the door. You have to get new agreements. You can't go back and say, well, these people had these agreements for 30-plus years, and you got to change the ownership. Those agreements are no longer good.
That's my point. We don't have an agreement with the property owners.
I'm just saying.
So
we
I
can't
don't know how you
use,
can
we
have an
can't,
agreement with the state.
once when there's a change of ownership, you can't use those agreements anymore as an excuse.
So my question is,
And another thing I can't get past is 1992 when they did the utility sewer easement. They stated it was public access and utility easement. That's where people are making a mistake when they say they hear public access. So I decided to investigate that a little bit more. I went and was going to call the city attorney at that time that wrote that up, but he passed away. So the next person that I decided to talk to said when that was rolled up, it was not for general public use. It was for another public utility such as gas. They could use the same easement if they wanted to put in a gas line. That's what I was told.
I think the crux of this too is the word agreement. I mean, agreement means people agree. And I've said it a bunch of times. I mean, I know why eminent domain exists. I believe it does have a purpose and a use, but this is getting pretty far afield of the core of the use of eminent domain. I mean, I have the same argument here as I did
Just
with
realize
containers.
every lake and every public park that we have in this state came about through eminent domain.
No,
pretty much.
that's not true.
You'd think Tuttle, they made entire towns pull up and
That's
move.
true, but you know what they did too? is
And
they
not
bought a lot
everybody
of
did that
people out.
voluntarily.
And what about, okay, Dargett's Park was donated by a landowner, that's why it's Dargett's Park. So just for simplicity's sake, the second closest park to here was not taken by eminent domain. But I doubt Union Park or City Park was as well. Point of the story is, that's all fine and good. And the thing of it was, they didn't do it for recreation. They made that as one of the levers of their argument, but it was mainly for flood control and for protecting other property. I'm not here to relitigate Tuttle Creek.
Well, then answer this. Why, when the railroad pulled out and all these trails went in, those landowners wanted that property to go back to them.
Right.
They were making the same arguments. It was trash, it was people backing my property. So if you went off of that argument,
But they're
that
rail
land
banked.
should have gone back to those property owners the second that railroad was out of there. And you shouldn't have any trails.
So I'm not a
I'm just saying.
I'm not a practicing lawyer, but a big case in the Kansas State Supreme Court actually was based on precedent set in Washington County based on reversion of land and the agreements that went into how that was placed. And it's a completely different situation, is the bottom line. It goes into federal law, which is, FRA, completely different situation. The deal with that is rail banked for future transportation purposes. It was transportation granted by the federal government, and now the federal government oversees it continuing to be maintained as a transportation corridor. Its status never changed.
They will never probably use it for that.
No, they
again
will
because
never
people
probably,
would
but
hang
that's
them
neither here
alive.
nor there. And the thing of it is that doesn't really apply to the situation here, I don't think. I don't think it's applicable. I see what you're saying. I like the idea of us having an agreement. I still hold out hope. Call me a cockeyed dreamer, but I hold out hope that someday we can have an agreement where we can understand that it's theirs and that people can have access and we can kind of coalesce around it. Obviously, that's not happening now. But I don't think we need to stand up and take it by force because I think it sets a bad precedent. I don't think it makes sense for property rights. Like I was going to say before, I have the same principles on the container issue as I do here, which is if it's your property, then it needs to be some pretty substantial reasoning for anyone to step across that. That's us to be regulating it or let alone taking it. So
do you know what the term public easement is? Do you know what it entails? When something's been used by the public for more than 25 years, it becomes public easement.
Right. I understand that argument, yes.
So has this not been used more than 25 years by the public?
You had that
Yes,
right
we had
behind your
it
motel, didn't
in
you?
front
That
of the
was your
motel. It was
property, but
public
used as an
easement.
alley,
So,
and they didn't have a right to shut it down.
So, and there's the other thing though, right? Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. I mean, do we want to be setting that precedent here? I don't think so. I mean, obviously it's been controversial, and I've heard some decent arguments on all sides of it, but when it comes down to it, it was legally and properly purchased by them, and for us to take it for recreational use when there's no recreational use being really precluded with the existing setup, I don't see it.
I guess the only thing I would add is, as a kid growing up between Home City and Beatty, not having the means to go to Tuttle Creek or places like that on a dairy farm, if you wanted to go fish somewhere, you asked the property owner, and you fished there. And if you left trash, you were told you did not go back there and fish.
Yeah.
But if you took care of it, the property owner typically allowed you to fish.
That doesn't
That-
that doesn't happen a lot anymore. I mean, it's not like it used to be.
That doesn't, but, you know, that, I guess, from what I remember, you know, you didn't go to Ed Wigger's pond unless you asked him.
Yeah.
You didn't go to the Coke Boys pond unless you asked them. The Wooster pond unless you asked them. Now, if signage needs to be put up by the property owner that says, hey, you need to call me before you come here,
There is.
which there is. If trash ends up in the property off the highway, you can't penalize the people that are going over there and fishing. Those kind of things are gonna happen. And so you can't be black and white, but you're gonna know who it is that came in and had the picnic and left the whole sandwich there, so. I really think we need to make the motion to vote on ordinance 1999 and move on.
From what I understand, you know, they're not denying people to fish. All they want is people to ask
they weren't
permission,
denying
just
people-
people to ask permission to be there, respect their property and clean up the trash. That's all they want.
If they weren't denying people fishing, then we would have never got involved.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying that's what they want. If they want people to fish there, just ask permission to do it.
You know,
That's it.
and when it comes down to it too, you know, put yourself in the position of somebody who's living there. I mean, I casually looked at that property as being interesting when it was for sale. I mean, I personally thought, oh, it's a mixed blessing being close to the highway and close to the lake and all that, but they bought it under the understanding, and I mean, legally, it would appear to me, a not incorrect understanding from their perspective, that that was their property. They could develop it or not develop it or do what they have with it. Feels like our mistake in not getting things in our house in order before all that isn't their cross to bear, you know? That goes back to my comment about we need to get ahead of these kinds of issues, because if we had those agreements in place and had done our legal work beforehand, then we wouldn't even be here.
That's a good, this should have been solved in 1935, and it should have been solved in 1972. And that's the thing, this council has the chance right now to do what should have been done 90 years ago. That's what I'm saying.
I get what you're saying.
You've got the right now to make this a city lake, as everybody's always treated it for 90 years.
I think me personally, I think our lesson here should be avoid these situations in the future, have learned from our mistake that way, rather than trying to remedy it at the cost of someone else now.
Well, they didn't document things as well as they should have, and the documents, and some of them was what they provided. I think John made this point too. I think they were more concerned about getting the lake in 1935 than getting the documentation right. And I think that there were a few people involved at the country club, and they knew some people and pulled some strings.
I'm sure.
And got a lake without the documentation that they should have had for a public works project.
And we've had a lot of chances to get it fixed in a way that wouldn't have been so burdensome as the one we've gotten ourselves into now. But here we sit.
I mean, that's just the thing. I mean, if it's not gonna be a public lake, if it's gonna be a part public and part private lake, then, I mean, would there ever be any appetite to dredge it? Are we gonna spend taxpayer money to dredge a private lake? Should we be aerating a private lake?
But nobody
Should we
owns
be
the water.
stocking a private lake?
Nobody owns the water.
If you can't fish at all,
You got a public access to the lake already.
you do, but if you're a kid, you can't
The
fish.
water is
Then you're-
public,
That's
except-
that much you can't fish. Well, there's been an argument that supposedly you can't have boats or kayaks out there. That's not the way I read that statute. But that's been an argument, is that you can't have kayaks or boats.
Where'd you see that at?
I'm not the one that's saying that.
Well, I've heard that, but my understanding is
Heard
that I
that,
think
and I've
that's
seen it
kind
on-
of been
I've seen it
solved
around.
as, maybe that's fine, so, but irregardless, I think we just need to, I think we've caused enough furor. Heavens knows, we always find a way to cause more heartache in this town with our own, and I'm gonna say our own is in every council that's sat here or anywhere in town since 1930s, by our own errors. Let's not compound it. I get the arguments on both sides, but this has been dragging on.
If you can't solve this problem, then I don't see like 11th and 12th Road there are people gonna be forcibly annexed in. I don't see any other way that you do that and you don't force.
I think annexing is a little different.
Then taking.
It's, you don't think that people are gonna be upset if they get forcibly annexed?
Yeah,
I
you know,
guarantee you're gonna have
people are gonna be
people.
upset, and quite frankly, this isn't about necessarily people being upset. People will be upset, we do this, we don't do this, you know. Doing the right thing isn't always easy, but it's always the right thing. So, I mean, I'm not, I don't know, I don't see the tie-in. Annexation is different, that'll be its own battle.
I've said what I said.
I make a motion that we vote on ordinance 1919, by roll call.
It's fine.
Second.
Okay. Roll call?
Fry,
No.
Keating,
No.
Snelling,
No.
Bikeman,
No.
Garacki,
No.
Price,
Yes.
Barron's,
Yes.
two.
I just want to say, I've had a lot of people say that it needs to remain the city lake.
Can I ask you a question though? If that was your property down there, how would you do it?
I had that.
How would you do it right now if that was yours?
How would I do what?
How would you rather not give up the land, have it taken away, or how would you do it?
I had the situation when I had the motel, that the ground in front of us was not ours, but we used it, we maintained it, and it was public access, public easement. And how would I do it? I would take the 1.1 some acres there and make it part of city property.
Okay, so you're willing to give up part of your property for,
Yes.
well, that's all I wanted to know.
Okay. All right, do you have anything for executive session? Round table. Todd?
I guess I could have brought this up on street. I know we've had a couple issues with the timing of the stoplights. Have they been out to look at those?
Timing of we've been
Well,
watching
it's
them.
the sensors, they were gonna come out maybe and readjust some of the sensors?
I mean, we watched them. We haven't had anybody come out, but we've been watching them. There have been some issues, but a lot of times it was a bigger truck in the way, or today I saw
Okay.
where a turn signal flipped on, but there was a huge truck.
So they were, the sensor, yeah, okay.
So, but yeah, I've been kind of keeping an eye on them.
No worries. I did want to reiterate, I do think it would be nice if we got the crosswalk signals to operate with the lights when they do come out. That should be a simple little bit of programming for them while they're here, but not worth a special call. But when they, if or when they do need to come to adjust anything.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Okay. Jeff?
Yep.
Lori?
I won't be here next meeting. That's all I got.
Keith?
The electric car charging station, how's that getting used a lot, or?
I've seen it
Heard
getting
people
used
have
a
used
lot,
it, I haven't
actually.
seen anybody there.
But I'm right there to see it every day, so.
My niece came from my husband's funeral from Florida, and she rented a Tesla. And her only complaint was that it's not a quick charger. And for her to get, when you rent an electric vehicle, when you turn it in, you have to have it charged to 80% or more. So she stopped in St. Joe on the way and did the quick charge there, and then got here, drove it, and the night before she was flying out the next morning, I picked her up at like 10 and took her home, and then they took her back there in the morning before she left town to get it fully charged. So it said it was going to take 7 hours to get it fully charged. So that's the biggest drawback I know so far. Other than that, she was thrilled that we had one, because she says, hey, crazy question. Do you guys have a car charging station in town, and I said yes.
Okay, here's information on it. I'll go by month. December, there was 1 charge. January, 4 charges. 2 in February, 4 in March, 5 in April. Average time people have charged on it, 2.5 hours in the last 30 days. Utility costs us about $12 over the last 30 days. Let's see.
We do need a sign. I think a sign would be good.
But, but she pulled it up on the charge point app.
Yeah.
And she had to download the app, and then she had to scan the charger before it would work and stuff, so.
Sounds like Walmart's gonna take care of that. I guess they're gonna be putting in, Walmart and Sam's Club are gonna be putting in a ton of chargers.
You go to a lot of the big cities and Walmart has them.
So it's being used.
Yeah. It'll get more.
Yeah, it'll get more as people figure it out. It's there. I mean, it's in a prominent location. We put nice blue bollards with reflective tape on it, just one to protect it. And
It was interesting the night when I was sitting down there waiting. There was a couple of cars that just kept circling to see what I was waiting down there for, at 10 o'clock at night.
so, yeah.
It's probably more difficult for cars coming from the east.
Yes.
To park at that spot.
Yeah.
It's not very accessible for those cars. Because the charger's on the right front side, isn't it?
No, it's on,
Rear left on Tesla.
right, on the Tesla it was on the rear left.
Yeah.
But the thing's long enough to pull it out there.
The majority of, so Tesla is on the left. The majority of the rest of the field is on the right. There are some that are like front and center. And where that is located, it's got 2 ports that you can use. It's centered between 2 different parking spots. So if you have one that's close to the front of your car, you can park in the back parking spot. If you got one in the normal on the right side, you can park in the front spot. They both would reach if you parked in either spot because it's extra long cord. And yes, there is a disadvantage. I've seen some Teslas, or at least one Tesla, charging there, and you have to get that cord all the way
Red?
around. Huh?
Was it red?
No, it is a white one. And then I saw, the first couple times the Tesla parked the wrong way. So
Parked
they could
left
get
wheel to
that
curb?
side. Yes, left wheel to curb. They drove across the highway and got charged, but, so far, I mean, it's being used, and I think it's probably doing what we intended it to do to get people to park there and go, to our businesses, go eat at the Wagon Wheel, because it's right there, and get people downtown, and just a place to stop at the pony statue.
Do you see that parking spot being a one-way parking spot? Because if you pull up from the left, from the east, then you gotta wait on 2 sets of traffics just to pull back out.
Well, you'd have to come around the block. I mean, that's safe.
So that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
you have to make it a sign that says one-way parking right there, or what do we gotta do for
No,
people not
It's
to?
just state law.
So, yeah.
That's what I'm saying, I
You-
mean, somebody would just zoom right in there from the east and just pull in.
The solution is to put one on the north side of the road. Yeah. Otherwise, I mean,
So you don't see that as much of
Yeah.
a problem for somebody just to wheel in there and facing west?
no, they should legally follow traffic laws. Yes, I see it as an issue, people, but like a gas station. You're not just gonna drive on the wrong side of the road to get into the gas station. You're gonna go around the block and go the proper way to get onto their lot. I mean, it's normal driving habits.
I don't know, I see an accident waiting to happen right there.
But, I mean, we could look at putting one on the north side of the road.
Let's let this one get built up where we can rationalize that first.
Okay,
See if Walmart puts any in first.
there you go.
Yeah, I just assume we keep people downtown, but yeah.
I mean, we are offering the electricity for free right now, so, I mean, that is a benefit.
I think she said she paid $10 to charge in St. Joe.
So, yeah. That's a fast charger, isn't it? Yeah, they're gonna be more.
Yeah.
If we were to turn, the price on, I mean, the price of electricity probably is gonna, has changed since we talked to the company, but it's like $1 an hour, that we would charge. I mean, we'd make a little bit of money off of that, but, yeah, that's all I got.
Kyle?
Nope.
Parker?
No.
Nothing? I don't have anything.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?